Hey, are you ready to start learning how to build your group consistently with ads? You're in the right place. Here comes marketing with a twang.
All right. It's time for Marketing with a Twang, your down home, no BS online marketing show. So pull up a chair and ease on in with your host, Ben Blackman.
All right, welcome to Marketing with a Twang. I'm Ben Blackman, and I'm going to be talking about growing your groups consistently with ads. And that's what we're going to focus on for the month of January. So you can see on screen what we're going to kind of be going over. And what I'm going to do this entire year actually is teach people about growing groups and how to do it, the best practices and what kind of results you can expect and exactly what you need to do. So these are going to be, for the most part, these will be fairly brief. So I know it's easy to get distracted and you have a million things going on. So I want to try to be as to the point as possible. You may or may not be familiar with my podcast, Facebook Ads with a Twang, which I actually don't do anymore, but it's still out there. It used to be the #1 Facebook Ads podcast. And on those episodes, I made sure they were less than 10 minutes. I can't guarantee you these will be less than 10 minutes, but most of them I'll try to do my best. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of dive right into this. So we're going to start here, as it says on week 1 there, growing your group consistently. So I just want to talk a little bit about organic traffic versus ads traffic. And by the way, what I'm going to be talking about today is applicable to Facebook groups or circle groups or Slack or whatever. The difference is that if you're running, a Facebook ad to try to grow your circle group or to grow, a Slack group or something like that, because you're taking them off platform, you're going to have a lot fewer people make that jump. Okay, now it still works. And I'll talk about how to do that later on. But for the most part, I'm going to be referencing Facebook ads. The other thing that you should know is most of my clients over the years, and this is a lot of years actually, have been coaches. And so I know that market really well, but I know almost every service-based business. I've done stuff in all kinds of places over the years too. But just so if I reference coaches, this still would apply to you, unless I say specifically something different. All right, so organic versus paid. Well, you need both. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, as they say. And I'm not a big fan of just using one or the other. There's a lot of people out there that just talk, organic. I never do paid and blah, blah, blah. But some years ago, I had a business and I came into the business one day, I think it was on a Thursday actually, and it was over. Something changed in the market that nobody anticipated, something we couldn't account for. And I came in one day and it was done. There was no way we could drive in more business. Became super expensive to do that. And there was just nothing that we could do at that point. And so I'm not a fan of trying to do everything one way. Now, I think that, in the beginning, it's okay. But you want to try to leverage what you can. Just like, when you're driving traffic, or anybody really, organic or traffic, you want to, to your group, you want to collect their other information, their email, their phone number, their address, all that stuff, so that you have access to it in case, what if Facebook shuts all the groups down for one reason, or shuts your group down because they don't, like the way you look at them. That's what they do. So you want to have more control than that. And so I'm not a fan of just organic, and I'm not a fan of just paid. Now, as for organic, you should be doing that consistently anyway, because that just helps build you up. And I'll talk about that later on in the year, about how to use organic more effectively. But for now, you should be inviting people to your group just about every day through whatever methods you can. Whether that's inviting, people who are on your friends list or your followers, or just making regular posts about it, or asking your existing group members to, recommend it to somebody, and those kinds of things. And there's all kinds of strategies around that. But that's just a couple of easy things. With ads, we're going to talk about the nitty gritty, because there's actually about 5 or 6 different ways to use ads to grow your group. And most people get pigeonholed into one way. All right. And I totally get that. So we're going to talk about multiple ways on how to do it and which way might be best for you. Now, which types of businesses should use ads to grow their groups? Well, and by the way, I just want to mention this. I'm going to do this, this whole thing I'm going to do this as much with as little editing as possible, because I kind of want you to see how the sausage is made, right? So if I make a mistake, I'm just going to make a mistake. And I'm just going to continue going, because I think, if you've ever thought about growing your YouTube channel, and it doesn't even have to be YouTube, if you've ever thought about, doing reels or TikToks or whatever it is, whatever social media it is, and it's hard for you to get started because you're worried you're going to make a mistake, or what are you going to do to correct it, and all those kinds of things. I just want you to know that you can make all the mistakes that you want and it'll still work. Okay. So anyway, like I said, I'm just going to kind of just barrel right through it, even when I screw up or whatever. All right. Which type of businesses? Well, frankly, any type of business. I'm talking coaches, trainers, course creators, CPAs, social media agencies, bookkeepers, product. I mean, there's anybody that has a Facebook group should use ads to grow their group. And part of the reason is because ads are going to let you get in front of more of the people who are likely to want to buy from you. And it gives you that opportunity, and it gives you an opportunity to build it fairly quickly, but more importantly, to be consistent. And that's what I want to talk about next, is consistency versus scaling. So I don't know if you all see this in your news feed very often, but I guess because of the nature of what I do, I see this a lot. But there's all these people out there who are talking about, we're going to scale your business. We'll get you all your leads. We'll close them for you. We'll do this. We'll do that. And it makes you think, well, if they're doing all that, I mean, what do I need to be doing, right? But the reality of it is every one of those, I shouldn't say everyone, but all the ones that I know of still leave the coach or the business owner with a grind, meaning you're still grinding out sales. You're still having to grind to get to the next level. And it's a never ending thing, because most of it has to do with cold outreach, which is a grind in and of itself. Not that you're having to do it, but you're having to pay somebody else to do it. And so the quality of the leads that are coming in are usually aren't quite as good. It doesn't mean they're not good, and it doesn't mean they won't close, but the maintenance of them, is much higher. I prefer to, when leads come in, I prefer that they know that I'm the expert. I mean, they see me. Right? I didn't go out and cold call them or cold email them. Now, there's a place for that, and I like that stuff. There is a place for that, but what I want to really focus on is being consistent, because almost every business owner I talk to, they're not even worried about scaling. They're just worried about having consistent months. My ex-wife, who's awesome, by the way, and she and I talk every day, and you may or may not know this, but our youngest son is autistic, and so he has, he's an awesome kid, but he's not mostly nonverbal and stuff. So she and I talk pretty much every day about him and how what we're going to do that day or that week or whatever. And anyways, but she's a real estate agent, and she's really good at it. Been doing a long time. The only problem with her, and we all have our problems, is that her business isn't consistent. Now, you could say that about all real estate agents, but I know a bunch of them who do have consistent businesses. And, you know what I mean? Some months she's selling all kinds of houses, and the next month she's not. You know what I mean? That's how it goes. And I've given her a marketing plan on how to be more consistent there, but she just hasn't implemented it for one reason or another. And so, I don't want you to be that way with your group or your leads. I want you to build a consistent amount of business so that you know what's coming in. And it takes a little time, right? It usually doesn't happen overnight. But when you're using ads to grow your group and you're starting to nurture these people and provide value, somebody that you showed an ad to, there's going to be people who want to buy from you right away, right? There's going to be a segment of people who want to buy from you, in 5 months. And then there's going to be a segment who they're not going to buy from you for 2 years. Okay. So you want all of that. Okay. Because in 2 years, you want to have people coming in who started 2 years prior, right? They just needed to learn more about you. And that's where the consistency comes from. All right. So I'm done talking about that. I bet you're glad. So what kind of results do people get using ads to grow their groups? Well, I'm just going to show you an example here. So this is one of my clients, and these ads actually started on November 12th. Well, some of them September, some of them November. Anyway, the bottom sets of campaigns, you can see the leads that are coming in. This is what it was costing us to get the leads. Okay. Now you can see these leads right here were quite a bit. I mean, comparatively, this is good cost anyway, but comparatively, these are a lot higher than these. The difference is these are going to a landing page to get people to join the group, and these are people who are actually messaging my client first before they join the group. So these actually turn out are more valuable, even though the cost is higher. And that's some of the things you have to think about. People are so focused on getting the lowest cost per lead. And I'm not saying that's not important. And in fact, we're going to look at a calculator in just a minute, and I'll show you how important it is to get, to try to get lead costs down to some extent. But the biggest thing with this is if you focus more on the other end, like the people that are coming in and trying to close the people who came in, instead of focusing in on trying to get your lead costs down $1 a lead, you're going to make way more money. And that's how that works. And most people tend to focus on the ad side of it and not actually closing people. Like, you have to test things on that side too. People who come in from paid traffic, they don't convert the same way as an organic lead. So be willing to look at your processes and make it a little bit different for the people who are coming in from an ad, because it will be different. They don't know you yet. All right. That's enough on that. So I just want to go over this calculator with you real quick. Let me just kind of go over this calculator. And this is what I call my slow growth calculator. I have there's another calculator I have for fast growth. And I'm happy to show that to you, but I find that when people see the fast growth one, it seems unrealistic for them, and they kind of start freaking out when they start seeing the numbers, both the numbers of what they're going to have to spend for ads, and then also their revenue numbers, because they don't believe it's possible, right? They're not making consistent revenue now, and it's kind of sketchy now, and they don't believe that they can get to that. So this is more of a slow growth thing. So let me just kind of go over it with you real quick. And by the way, if you want me to share this with you, just let me know. You can, reach out to me on Twitter at the Ben Blackman, or you can contact me, on Facebook, Ben Blackman. That's where I am all the time, is on Facebook. So that's my preferred place, but you can do whatever you want, or even LinkedIn. So the monthly budget, if your monthly budget is $2,000, and by the way, I'm not telling you have to spend $2,000 the first month. I'm just using this for a reference point. And we're going to talk about budgeting, I think, next week. I can't remember exactly, but we will talk about budgeting. And let's say your offer price point's $2,000. Now, depending on what kind of business you're in, it may be a lot less than that. So you'll have to adjust your numbers accordingly. But I'm talking about coaches. And so let's just say it's a $2,000 12-week group coaching program you have. Now, before I go any further, in order to make this business or any of them work, is you really need an ascension model. So once people get done with that first 12 weeks, let's say that's what it is, then you need to have an offer above that, right? And then one after they complete that, one above that. See, the top 20% of the top 20% of the people who work with you, they're going to buy pretty much anything you have. Okay. So if you have a $50,000 mastermind, somebody in there is going to buy it. It may just be one person, but how many does it take? You just have to have the offer available to you. The numbers that you're seeing on this are just baseline numbers. You really need to think about it in terms of lifetime value of your clients. Okay. Enough of that. So if your price point's $2,000, and you can adjust this. Now, anything in the yellow here, you can adjust, right? And let's say your leads cost $10 each. Now, I know what you're going to say. Hey, Ben, you just showed me, another client who's getting them for $2 or $3 or whatever, and now you're saying $10. Well, the fact is depending on your business and depending on the niche that you're in, you're going to pay somewhere between a couple of bucks to about $15 a lead. And that's okay, right? I wouldn't focus on that part. Focus on getting these people closed. I mean, if you get 100 leads in, focus on closing, 5 of those leads, right? I mean, that's what you want to do. But we do want to work on getting our ad costs down. I mean, of course, we don't want to just let it go crazy. We do want to pay attention to it. I didn't want to give you outrageously unrealistic numbers. Okay. So, and by the way, your process may be different than many others, and that's okay. But like, you might bring people in. So a lot of coaches, they do a triage call. So in other words, when somebody first comes in, they contact them and they ask them to, instead of booking a full-on strategy session or discovery call, they do like a 10 or 15-minute triage call to see if it's even a good fit, which I'm a fan of. Okay. And then they invite them to the full strategy session, right? So if you get 5% let me back up. If you spend $2,000, okay, at $10 a lead, that means you're going to get 200 leads a month, okay? If 5% of those turn into strategy sessions, okay, then that's 10. I'm sorry, the triage calls, that'll be 10 a month. If 5% of those turn into strategy sessions, let me back up. I'm sorry, I told you I'm not going to edit this, okay? So if you get 5% of 200 leads, that's going to be 10 triage calls. 50% of those should turn into a strategy session. So that's 5 strategy sessions. And then you should be able to close 70% of those. So that's 3.5 sales. Okay. So if you have 3.5 sales at your price point's $2,000, then your revenue is going to be $7,000, and you minus out your ad spend of $5,000, then that's your profit, right? I mean, your ad spend of $2,000 and then $5,000 is your profit. Okay, so if you just, let me change this. If you just do this, the same amount every month. Okay, this adds up at the end of the year. Your revenue will be $84,000. Your profit will be $60,000. Okay, that's if you don't do anything else. That's assuming you don't get any extra sales anywhere else, which you better be getting sales other places. All right. Now, let's just look at these numbers. Let's just say you decide to reinvest, and I'm going to use a very conservative reinvestment. Let's say you take 10%, okay, of your monthly ad spend and add that addition. And so, like the first month, you take 10% of that and you add in, which is $200. You add that into your monthly budget, and you keep doing that for the whole year. Now look where you are. Okay, so by the end of the year, you're spending about $5,700 a month. But now you've brought in almost $150,000 in revenue and $100,000 in profit. And so hopefully you can see what that means. And you can look at this number of clients you'll get and so forth. The other thing that you can do that would be super powerful, and watch these numbers. So if you go from $10 a lead to $8, okay, $8 a lead, now we boosted it up to $187,000 in revenue and $144,000 in profit. So the lead costs are really important. And you can come in here and play with these numbers. You can say, okay, well, if my offer point is $1,000 and I'm getting $4 leads, right? Or whatever it is. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what this could look like and what it does look like for many people. So next week, I'm done for today. I bet you're glad. Next week, we're going to be talking about, should you even be using ads to grow your group at all? Not everybody needs to be doing this. So I want you to make sure to watch that video, even if you don't watch it when it first comes out. But check it out. It's very important to kind of go through that process. All right, that's it. Thank you for joining me on Marketing with the Twang. And, like I said, follow me. Also, if you want to access the calculator, message me. And then also, if you want to be on the newsletter list, go ahead and message me. For some reason, the link to opt into it is, I don't know what's wrong with it. But anyway, just message me and I'll put you on the newsletter list. I'm not going to spam you. I'm just going to send you good stuff about growing your group. All right. I'll talk to you later.